Imagine having a digital assistant that never sleeps, that never complains, and never forgets. You just tell it, do this when this happens, and it runs it in the background 24/7. Yep, that's Power Automate. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Bukola Adetola, and if you're new here, I create Microsoft's Power Platform tutorials on this channel, and alongside that, I also create career, tech, and lifestyle related content. So if you're yet to subscribe, please hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so that you don't get to miss any upcoming videos. In this tutorial, you learn how to 1. Set up and access Power Automate. 2. Explore the main interface and key component. 3. Create your first flow from scratch. 4. Use templates and connectors effectively. 5. Manage, test, and monitor your flow. And so at the end of this tutorial, you get to know everything that you need to create your first automation from scratch. So what is Power Automate? Power Automate is Microsoft's low-code automation tool that allows you to create workflows. Workflows are sequences of automated actions between your favorite applications and services. The Power Automate helps you eliminate repetitive manual tasks like sending reminders, copying files, or updating records. So instead of you doing it, Power Automate does it for you 24/7. So how does the Power Automate work? First thing I'll need you to know is that every automation in Power Automate is called a flow. I'll need you to know this because we'll be referring to flow a lot in the course of this tutorial. So next thing is every flow has two things. One is a trigger and the second is action. So what are triggers? Triggers are the events that start the automation. So for example, when a new email arrives, I want the flow to be able to do so, and so. And so those are the actions. The actions are the series or step or actions or sequence of actions that happen after the trigger. So for example, your trigger is when a new email arrives. I want the actions to be send me a Teams notification, save attachment to OneDrive, and many more. So it's like saying, right, that if this happened, then do this automatically, or do this series of actions automatically in sequence. Also, Power Automate connects to 1,000 plus services, both your Office 365 services and application, and also third-party applications like your Salesforce, your Gmail, Google Drive, Twitter, Dropbox, SAP, and many more. So you're not limited, and there are over 1,000 custom-built templates to help you get started. Without further ado, let's get straight into the tutorial. So to get started, we will navigate to the Power Automate environment, and that's make.powerautomate.com. But if you're yet to subscribe to any Power Automate plan, I'll show you how to do that, how to subscribe to a free plan so that we can get into this together. So navigate to Microsoft.com and we will go to all Microsoft, click on Microsoft Power Platform. Once you click on Power Platform, this would open up a new tab that shows you all you need to know about the Microsoft Power Platform, the benefit, why Power Platform, resources, products, and all of other stuff. So scroll down to find scroll down to find the products. I will click on Microsoft's Power Automate. So once you click on that, it will bring you to open this up, and once you click on that, it will open this up, and then you can see the tab here that says try for free, next to take a guided tour. So if you click on this, you'll be able to get started by inputting your email and other information that is required of you. I already have a Microsoft Office 365 plan, so I wouldn't be doing this. But if you do not have any, it would be best to you to sign up for a Power Automate free plan. So get back into the Power Automate environment. So when you get into the Power Automate environment, this is what it looks like. This is what the home page looks like. And on the side menu here, we have a couple of stuff. Under home, we have create, template, learn, my flows, approval, solutions, automation center, and many more. But for the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be sticking to just these five. That is home, create, templates, learn, and my flows. So once you come onto the home page here, you have the option of creating your automation with Copilot. And all you need to do is to describe in detail what you want your automation to do. And Power Automate helps you to create a flow that suits that automation. And then when you scroll down, there is a learning part. There's learning resources here to help you get started away, depending on whatever level of Microsoft Power Automate learning that you are. So when you click on create, it takes you to the create page where you can start to create your flows. And here in the video, I mentioned how all of your automations are called flows in the Power Automate environment. So if you click on templates as well, it shows you all the templates available within the Power Automate environment. And there is learn, it takes you to the learning part to different Power Automate resources. And when you click on my flows, it shows you the flows that are available within your environment, and it has grouped them right. And these are grouped right: cloud flows, desktop flows, generative actions, and shared with me. And up here, you can create a new flow and you can decide to import a new flow into your environment. So we're going to go back to create. We have different types of flow, and the first one is the automated cloud flow, and this is triggered by a designated event in the cloud. And next we have instant cloud flow. This is manually triggered as needed with a manual button or with a button in your Power Apps application. And next we have this scheduled cloud flow. And with the scheduled cloud flow, you choose when and how often you want your flow to run, whether you want it to run daily, weekly, or monthly, and how often also do you want it to run, whether it's twice, 5 times, or many times around in a day or in a week or in a month. And also we have the desktop flow. So this button here, you can install the desktop version of Power Automate on your device to automate processes on your desktop environment. We also have process mining, and this helps you evaluate and optimize your existing processes and tasks. So for the purpose of this, we will just be sticking to these three: the automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, and the scheduled cloud flow. So once we scroll down here, we'll find a bunch of templates available here. But let's navigate to the templates tab. So on the template tab, we have all templates here, and these templates have also been grouped into different sections. So we have the topic, the very popular templates here. We have shared with me, remote work, approval flow, approval templates, button, VCO, data collection, email, and there's also a lot more available here as well. So once you click on each of these templates, there are icons here to indicate which service or application is included in the template. So we're going to use a very simple one, and we can just search through this template. I'll search for SharePoint. So let's see what we have. In case study, here is one. Record form responses in SharePoint, and the icon here indicates that it uses Microsoft Forms and SharePoint. So just go ahead and click on this. And if you are yet to connect, you'll be required to connect and give permissions to these services, and then hit continue. So we're getting these errors because some of these parameters are missing. So we're just going to fix that. So let's go back. So in this flow, usually the first step is the trigger, and the actions or the steps below are the actions. So for this flow, record form responses in SharePoint, the trigger is when a new response is submitted in Microsoft Forms. The next is get this response and create an item in our SharePoint list. So it's required that I pick. So it's required that I pick a form. So I have a couple of form here. I'll pick the application form. You can see that the error has disappeared. So for the get response, I would also be required to pick a form as well. So response of which form, and so the response ID is the response ID of the form. So create item. We're required to choose a site address. So I have a couple of SharePoint site here. I will pick the Power Platform team. That's where my SharePoint list is. So I'm required to also choose a list name. I am choosing this one, and so these are the fields on my SharePoint list. So I'd have to map the dynamic content from the previous step that is gotten from my Microsoft form. I would have to map it to 8 different columns or to the tallying column in my SharePoint list. So let's click on show all. So for the title, I'll just use interview bookings. And for candidate name, we'll pick the dynamic content for candidate name. For email address, we'll do the same thing and repeat this for all of the columns as well. So now that we have mapped all of our responses from the form to different columns in our SharePoint list, we're good to go. And I'll have to first save my flow, publish, and then test. So we have this pop-up. You saved your draft flow, you can test and run it after you publish. So I'll go ahead and publish. So the flow is ready and it's recommended that I can test now. So I'll do just that. So test. The two options manually, automatically. But for now, because I haven't tested this before, only manually is available. So I'll click on that and test. So I'm required to go to my Microsoft form, fill it out to trigger this, and let's see what happens. So this is my form. It's an application form, and I have filled this off camera. So I'll just go ahead and submit just to trigger the flow. So go back and see what happened. So yeah, the flow ran successfully. So go back to the SharePoint list to be sure that an item is actually created. So this is the SharePoint list, and as you can see, an item is actually created in the SharePoint list. So it means that the flow was indeed successful, just as it indicates in the flow designer. So let's go back to Power Automate. So this type of flow that we have just created is called um, the automated cloud flow. And like I earlier mentioned, it is triggered by an action in the cloud. So this trigger is when a new response is submitted in your Microsoft form, get that response and create an item in your SharePoint list. So that's an example of an automated cloud flow. So I'll go ahead and show you an example of a scheduled cloud flow next. So we're back on the create tab and I will just click on the scheduled cloud flow. So I'll give my flow a name. Check application list, and their required fields like the starting date, time, the repeat, how often, and you want this automation to run. So I'll leave it as once every minute. And so these are the options: every second, every minute, hour, day, week, or month. I'll leave it at once every minute and create. So once we open this up, we're required to select a time zone, and I'm currently in Lagos, Nigeria. So I would select a matching time zone. So West African time. Yeah, found it. So the next thing I'd like to do is to add the actions, the steps under the trigger. So typically, your scheduled cloud flow is used when you want to look through a list or your database for certain item. An example for when this is used is you want to look through your employee information so that for every time it's someone's birthday or work anniversary, you can send them a email notification wishing them a happy birthday or a happy anniversary. Another example is to look through a list of tasks, to send reminders to the responsible party required to action that task, or for when the item or for when the task is due or overdue and you want to send a reminder to the responsible party to take an action. So there are numerous use case or scenario where you can use a scheduled cloud flow. This is just to mention a few. So for this use case, what I want to do here is I want to be able to look through this application list, and if the interview date is equals to today, I want to send an email to myself to notify me that a person has an interview scheduled for today. So that's the use case, and let's just get right into it. I'll show you how this works. So click on this plus icon to add the steps below, to add an action below. And so for this use case, what I'm doing is we have the trigger already, which is the reoccurrence trigger. The next thing is to get the items in my SharePoint list. So let's search for SharePoint. So when we search SharePoint, there are a bunch of different actions under the SharePoint connector. As you can see, when we click on see more, there's a lot more. But the action that we're looking for is get items. It's different from get item. Get item gets you one item. Get items gets you more than one item from your SharePoint list. I still get item now. I don't know where it is. Yeah, I found it. So get items. So we're required to pick the site address, list name, and so click on the filter query. I just don't want to get all the items in my SharePoint list. I only want to get the items that their interview date is equals to today. So I want to filter my list to get me just those items that meet this criteria. For my filter, what I would use is my column name equals to today's date. So a column name is interview date equals to, so EQ stands for equals to single quote, and then we'll go to the expression bar. So what I want to do is to use to get today's dates, and the expression, the formula for that is UTC now, and once I get that, I will then format it to meet the date format for SharePoint. So UTC now typically will get you the date and time in UTC time zone. And what the format date does is to format that date and time into whatever format or time zone that I want, right? But what I want is just the dates, and I want it in this format, and that's what I've done. So I formatted this time and date into this format, and that's what I have. So I'll click on add, and we're done. So I would save my flow, publish. So your flow is ready and recommend the test. So go ahead and test. Manual test, run flow. So yeah, our flow ran successfully. So once I get the item, what do I want to do with it? I want to also send a notification to myself. So we'll add the email notification bits. So let's go back to edit, click on add, and search for Office 365 Outlook. So click on send an email V2. And I want to send an email to myself with the subject and notification, so we'll format that. So for the two, I have selected my email, and for subjects, I have used interview booking for the dynamic content is a candidate's name retrieved in the previous step. The subject is interview booking for the candidate name retrieved in the previous step. And for body, we have very simple. Note that the candidate name has been scheduled for, I missed Anne here. And no, please note that candidate name has scheduled an interview for today at the interview time. So we'll save this test and run. So our flow ran successfully. We'll check my mailbox to be sure that this works. So this worked, and we have the email. Note that Bukola Aditola has scheduled an interview for today at 4 p.m. So that's it, guys. So typically, what defines what type of flow we have usually is the trigger. So for this trigger, we have our recurrence. For this trigger, we have the recurrence, and this typically means that this type of flow is the scheduled flow. So I can just delete this trigger and add a manual button, and I will change my flow to an instant flow. So let's try that. So if you click on this, I can delete my trigger and add another trigger. So I'm adding another trigger. And okay, so we have the manually trigger a flow, that's the button flow. That's the button trigger. Manually trigger a flow. So we have that. I'll save and repeat the test process again. So it's the same flow, the same actions, and it will give us the same result, but this time around with a different trigger. So yeah, flow ran successfully. So yeah, so we've gone through the automated cloud flow, the scheduled cloud flow, and finally the manual flow. So essentially, that's everything you need to know to get started with Power Automate. I'll see you in my next video. So thank you for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.